Incremental upgrades. Incremental upgrades are newly released devices in our industry that don't really bring anything new to the table. Bigme does this, Onyx does this, and yes, even Amazon does this. Onyx's latest release comes in the form of a Note Air 4C. This unit, although looks nice, it looks the same as the other ones and is mostly a re-release of the Note Air 3C. However, this time they've kept the price the same, which is uncharacteristic as they usually take this as an opportunity to increase the price of the unit. So diving right in, how is this any different? Well, it has the same Kaleido 3-color screen, 300 ppi in black and white, 150 same adjustable color, same super card, same fingerprint lock, same auto rotation, same 37mm thickness. So it's mostly the same. But there is a few things different. It has 6 gigs of RAM instead of 4 gigs of RAM. It's 10 grams lighter than its predecessor and is running Android 13. And if you're wondering, no, you can't upgrade Android on e-paper devices. Well, whether you can or can't, we don't know, but out of 60 manufacturers in our game, no one has seemed to do it. In fact, the only way to do this is to release new units. So that's really it. The box is different. Essentially, it says Air 4C on it. Alright, let's dive in. You know, I was reading the script for this one. It says, if you want to see the full review of the Note Air 3C, click the video card up above. Well, that still holds true. But why has that been happening recently? Well, the reason is because these incremental upgrades have been so plentiful. It's that they released this thing that is virtually the exact same thing as its predecessor and do nothing but just change the Android version. So we are going to look at it as best we can, of course, but if you did want to see the Note Air 3C, you can check it out up above, and it'll be on the end roll as well. So opening it up, what do we have here when we look at it straight up? Well, we have, as we said at the top of the hour, the exact same thing as the 3C. Now, this magnet case, I must say, I'm kind of struggling with it in a good way. It's very tight. It's crazy strong on there. And you know what I appreciate about these new magnet cases is that they don't use any silicone shell, or they don't use any rail like the Super Note. It is really just plug and play, and it all lines up, and it just happens so seamlessly. And these magnets are crazy strong. I don't know the inner workings of a PCB, I don't do dev, but how does that not affect the device inside of it? Because typically you're supposed to keep electronic devices away from magnets, but I guess there's obviously safe points on each respective unit, and this is just one of them. In terms of the styling, yeah, there's nothing aesthetically different about it. We have the stripe that goes lengthwise and a little bit widthwise that tees off and wraps around to the side right here. That's all well and good. We have stereo speakers, 2 on either side of this on a landscape bias. We have a microphone and we have a USB-C. Other than that, it's pretty much exact same thing. In fact, there's not really anything stylistically new about it. They didn't do any color changes. They didn't add any additional logoing. They didn't add you a new pen or anything like that. It's just business as usual. So Android 13 is the latest possible version of Android that these guys have, and that should and would be the only reason to buy this, because that is the reason you would get over to this, is to have Android 13. I think if you click it a bunch, something happens, right? It shows up with a explosion, or like a robot pops up. Oh, I guess he didn't. Anyways, Android 13, 10 grams lighter, and 6 gigs of RAM, so it should be quicker. On paper, that should be a fact. Now, there is something else interesting, is that they didn't increase the price, as we said at the top of the hour. That's very uncharacteristic of Onyx. They usually take this opportunity to make it more expensive, but they didn't. They actually kept it blanket, just carried over, which is kind of nice, in fact. You do have a bunch of things up here. You have EINK Center, rotate, feedback, the navigation ball, you can turn that off or on. You get AI Assistant, which, to be honest, a lot of the North American crowd doesn't care about AI. If you go to AI, you can ask it to do things. You can say, hey, write me an article, and it'll just write it up. So use that if you wish. Now, the thing we're going to live and die by on this unit is EINK Center, and that's a fact. You have HD balance, fast, and ultra fast. Ultra fast is, as it says, ultra fast. We'll show you that when we get into a video. In fact, we'll show you ultra fast now. We'll show you the other ones compared to the other ones when we get into a video. But this should be the time where you open up Google Play and things are just speedy. because that's the whole point. Onyx is top 3 when it comes to speed in the industry, and this is going to hold true for basically any device of their lineup. So you see, you get this fluidity. Not only is it really smooth, what I've noticed about Onyx is that it doesn't leave a whole lot of artifacting in the background, so you can't really see the staining of a lot of the previous cells. You see right here, this black is kind of dragging on a little bit, but it cleans itself up pretty quickly actually, and seamlessly. It doesn't flash the screen or anything like that. It's a very fast experience, and to be honest, the ultra fast doesn't look horrible. Obviously, HD looks way better, but when you go into ultra fast, it's just so blazingly quick, but it doesn't look that bad. So it's one of the most usable Kaleido 3s we've seen. And moving over to this topic is that this has Google Play. And these devices, these tablets that have e-paper screens, they live and die by Google Play. If you need to download a game, if you need to download apps, if you need to download solutions like email, etc., you use Google Play. Because their app store, although they have one, it's useless. I'm just going to say that straight up. Then when you go to Google Play Books, you get manga, you get ebooks, you get audiobooks, you get top selling, best selling, new releases, everything right here, right under one roof. And it is very useful. And the content is current. It's not just Project Gutenberg trash. It's actually high quality books and content, and as you can see here, you can download Audible and take advantage of the speakers. If we just look at a few things here, now manga is a good and bad example in that we don't need color on manga because manga's not in color, but if you go to a black and white portion of the manga, which is the remainder of it pretty much, you'll see that it looks pretty nice, honestly. Now there are some usability issues because typically Kaleido is darker than black and white screens, and this isn't the fault of Onyx, this is the fault of Kaleido in general. Whether you have a pocketbook, whether you have a Kindle or a Kobo or anything, it's gonna look just kind of dark gray, and that's just the reality of the situation. That comes with the territory. I like Google Play Books. It looks really nice. Everything is really high quality. It looks even better if you go to EINK Center and you go back to HD mode. Now you do have some other ways you can change optimal. You can change the vividness, the contrast, how heavy you want everything to be, vivid, optimal, etc. So it really does come down to how you want the screen to look. They leave it to you. You get all this really bad flashing when it's in HD mode, but it looks the best. So you have to find that line, and if you don't want to bother with the line, they have balanced, which probably is the best. It's a good balance of speed. You still get those peaks. However, it does look good at the same time. You might be asking how ebooks look. Well, to be honest, they don't look very good because it's very gray. This is a very, very gray overall appearance to it, and that's all we can deal with because that's as white as it's going to get. Now, there's a couple things you can do. You can change the mode, of course, as we showed you a few times before. So HD mode or even Regal is really nice for the contrast purposes. And of course, it is recommended that you have that front light on, as you see right there, because if we turn it off altogether, it's starting to look really, really stone. And it's easy on the eyes, sure, but it doesn't look very good. And I'll admit that, it just really doesn't. So my recommendation is turn the glow light on a little bit and actually mix it a little bit too, so you get this kind of middle kind of blend to get it as base white as possible, and it doesn't really get any whiter than that. You'd have to get a paper white, black and white version to get a super white screen. And actually, we've actually found that the Matcha, the sunken screen and bezel, is a little bit better, so just note that. Speaking of note, which we'll show you in a second, if you want to mark something and you can't draw on something like the Amazon Kindle app or Google Play, you can use FreeMark, and this allows you to now take notes over anything, even applications such as this where you're not allowed to take notes. Then you can save it as a screenshot and view it later. In terms of note taking, they have a ton of templates. I love it. Lots of templates, and you can sideload in your own templates as well, because all a template is a PDF that you draw over. That's really what it is. So you can just sideload in your own templates and draw over anything. It doesn't matter what pattern they're in. So you can add your name of the note as well. And I will say, in terms of the writing feel, we've already tested it off camera before we filmed. You know, they could have had an opportunity to do something with this. Kind of like Supernote, where they put a gel layer. Kind of like Remarkable, where they effectively just put clear sandpaper over the whole device. They had an opportunity to go from the Air 3C to the Air 4C and do something that was just a little bit different. This doesn't feel any different whatsoever. It's fast, and without doing some sort of RAM comparison between 6 gigs of RAM and 4 gigs of RAM, it is quick. It's very, very, very quick. And when you turn it to ultra fast, which again doesn't look as good, but it's just silly how fast it is. I mean, it doesn't get faster than that. I don't imagine a world where it just gets any quicker than that. It's some of the lowest latency we've seen. And you know what? Back in 2018 through 2021, we'll say, there was a lot of speed testing of who is faster, who had the lower latency. But you know, from 2021 onward, it just feels like everyone's fast now. Honestly, it just feels like everyone is really quick, really with it. I mean, VWoods is really quick, Remarkable's really quick, although they have that line drag on the Remarkable Paper Pro, but that's neither here nor there. Onyx is absolute king when it comes to shapes, and there's just no refuting it. And the reason is they finish the work for you. If you wanted to draw an ice cream cone, no other device is gonna allow you to draw an ice cream cone like that. No other device is gonna be able to do that. If you wanted to draw a cube, but get this, you're drafting, maybe you're doing some blueprints, you want to draw a dotted line cube 7 different ways, guess what? You have a dotted line cube. That would take forever to reproduce with rulers and turning off the page interaction with the capacitive touch while you do it, turn off so that you don't make mistake inputs. It's just, I believe this feature goes a little bit unappreciated. The fact that they have these multi-point inputs, curved lines, French curves, stars, domes, hemispherical domes with dotted lines. It is insanity how much of the work they do for you. No one else comes close to this. There's a couple manufacturers that have automatic shape touch-ups where you draw a circle and it becomes a circle, but nobody's going to be like this. It is really amazing. Layers is kind of nice. Everyone's been doing layers since Remarkable, so that's no longer a massive shock to all of us that I get 5 layers plus a template layer. I do get insert, which is really nice. I get a lot of different things I can do: images, attachments, link to notes, link to file, websites, hyperlinks. That's really nice. You have timestamps. Fill is really cool too. So it's getting into kind of Microsoft Paint. So if I choose a, what do you call that, a rhombus? Can't remember. If you make a shape on the screen like that, you can now go to fill and you can choose, say, a nice pink or red or something. Let's choose a pink, and you pop it right in the middle. Boom, you're done. That's Microsoft Paint all day long. I love that so much. You also can go over to the lasso tool, loop it around, grab it, move it, rotate it, make it bigger, copy it, paste it, and put it on a new page. I mean, this really does help with a lot of solutions. Like we said, you draw all this information, you have all these stars and these just endless amount of notes, and you say, you know what, just in case, I'm gonna send this over to Trevor or something. You lasso that, you put it around, you just, it's so nice how they line this up for you. And the eraser works at the back too. You just swipe over what you want to erase and away it goes. You can change that with the eraser settings as well. So you can go and you can choose the mobile eraser, lasso eraser, erase current layer, do not erase shapes, etc. So they do give you some things that have never even been done or implemented before in the world of note-taking. Of course, if you go to more, you get text box, search, recorder, customized toolbar. It really is the most robust note-taking experience, period. It is better than every single other manufacturer, and it's better than any other UI blanket across all of their note-taking centric units, the Ultra C Pro, the Tab X, etc. There are more features, more functionality on this than any other unit.
Yo.
I just feel like they could have done more with this release. They had a big opportunity here to really make a leap above the Air 3C. They could have made a new pen. They could have given you 128 gig storage like the C Ultra Pro. They could have given you maybe more gigahertz in the processor, maybe a dual SD card slot, change the body, make it thinner. There was a lot they could have done outside of the 10 grams of weight savings. This feels like more of a Note Air 3C S grade or an SE grade, rather than an all individual standalone release. However, as is, it is still good. Of course it is, that was never a question. The question was it necessary? However, it does all come back to the Android version. It just seems that ever since Android e-readers began, from Android 4 all the way up until now, there just isn't a way to upgrade Android on e-paper devices as is. So we will continue seeing these non-stop releases of devices as Onyx continues to add even more units to their already 18-unit comprised lineup. Thank you to Onyx for sending us this sample, thank you to all of our members for sticking with us over the years, and thanks for watching.